All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, and I warned some people who were here a little earlier, if you are in the back, come on in. Come on in, let's fill it in. Professor Sullivan, I don't know if this is still true, but when I went to law school, they told me the A students sit on the front row, the B students sit in the middle, and you know what that means about the people in the back. So I want to make sure everybody hears that we need some good energy. It's early on a Saturday morning. You all have given up your weekend for such a wonderful cause to invest in yourselves. So I really want to encourage you to come on in. Let's fill it in up here. Thank you. We're so happy to have you. I'm really happy to be here with you. I want you to take a moment to really congratulate yourselves, right, on, again, investing in yourself and in your future and in your community and in our world. Our world needs you. We desperately need you. You are all shining stars, and I'm so excited that I'm going to have the opportunity to watch you shine. Before I get started, one thing I'd like to share with you is, we talk about you all being the future, and you're our future shining stars. But I want to remind you, you're also today's shining stars, right? Today's shining stars. So I founded a program called the Sutherland Scholars, which is a program to prepare particularly students from historically black colleges and universities for law school. I started it because I wished I had a program like that before I went to law school. And every year, it's a free program, we give some money away, et cetera. And every year, somebody would say to me, why do you do this? What do we get in return? And I said, in return, you pay it forward, right? You pay it forward. So what I want to say to you is that as much as you all are meeting so many impressive lawyers today, right? You're going to hear from Professor Sullivan, who has been just a tremendous scholar. You're going to hear from Pamela Means, who's a wonderful lawyer and a community activist in many, many ways. You're going to hear from these incredible people, right? What I want you to know is that there is someone in your life for whom you are the incredible person. Right? You are the college student headed to law school. There is some 12-year-old at your church, in your hometown, in your neighborhood, somewhere in the world, there is someone looking up to you. And so your opportunity is to, as you lift, right, as you climb, to lift, right? Lifting as you climb, to reach behind and figure out who that 9-year-old is, who that 12-year-old is, who that 15-year-old is who's never been to college and you're the only person they know who's been able to do it. And figure out how you can bring them with you, right? We lift as we climb. I also want to start by giving my apologies in that I will have to duck out before I get to hear the rest of the speakers. One of the things we can or cannot talk about today, if you can decide, is the work-life integration piece. I don't believe in work-life balance, but I do believe in work-life integration. And in addition to being a litigator and a founder of a law firm, I also am team mom for the Dolphins. You may not have heard of the Dolphins. They're a very prestigious 5-year-old soccer team who's playing right across town right now. And I am the team mom, and at some point I'm going to have to duck out and make sure the Dolphins get my support today. All right, so just a little about me. I'm Allegra Lawrence-Hardy. I went to Yale Law School. I'm from Atlanta. I moved back after I clerked for a year. This presentation is not about clerking, but I want to highly encourage people to think about clerkships. I think it's another area where people of color have traditionally not been as well represented as we might be. I clerked for a year on the 11th Circuit. I came back to Atlanta, where I am from, and I worked for 19 years at Sutherland, Asbell & Brennan, where I became a partner in 2003. I stayed at that firm until February of this year. And in February, a group of 10 of us founded our own firm. And we are a group of 10 lawyers in Atlanta and DC litigating. As I said, I'm also a wife and mother. I think those roles are very important as well. And I also spend a good amount of time mentoring students. And so as I reflected on what I wanted to share with you all today, I thought about some of the things that we are challenged by. And the reality is, I don't want to sugarcoat it for you. As people of color, students of color, all right, there are obstacles that are just very real and different. As my partner says, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. There are also things, however, that we can do to support ourselves, to encourage each other, that don't require anything but what we can control on our own. Right? So there's some things that are external factors we can't do anything about. If somebody feels or perceives us in a way that we can't, that's they've got to deal with that piece, right? But what we can do is put ourselves in the best situation possible to really provide ourselves with opportunities, right? What does Oprah say? Opportunities, luck just means, working hard till your opportunity presents itself, right? That's what we want to do. Really work hard for our opportunities. And so I gathered a list together. I couldn't decide. I actually thought of calling it a few different things, and then I realized they were going to videotape it, so I wanted to keep it, I wanted it to be okay if it's on YouTube later on. But basically, we're going to call this 10 things you can do to guarantee your success that don't require privilege or talent. They don't require privilege or talent. They're just things you can do to get yourselves lined up for your opportunity, for your big moment, and you don't know when it's going to come. So, the first one, this is not any judgment on today, right? I wrote this last week. But being early. Again, we're videoing. I assume this is going to go on the internet. I don't want to play it in stereo. I don't want to traffic in stereotypes. I just want to say that we do ourselves a favor when we plan to arrive early for things. Did I hear there was a Spelmanite somewhere in the room? Was there? Okay. One of the things they said, I don't know if they still say this, but when I was at Spelman, we were always told, thank you. Did you go to Morehouse? Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, Professor Sullivan. To be on time is to be late. And what's the next? Exactly. And so we know that being early is the gift we give ourselves. And I'm just going to tell you from my own personal experience, because I ran late. So part of why we do these programs is so that you don't make the mistakes that we made, right? You can learn it the easy way. With all lessons, you're going to learn them. You can learn the hard way or the easy way. My view is you may as well learn the easy way, learn from my mistakes, so you don't have to learn the hard way. If you are the person in this room whose family always tells them, and a family dinner is going to start 30 minutes before they actually schedule it, I'm talking to you. If you're the person in this room whose friends tell you, we're meeting for dinner at 7, and they all plan on showing up at 7:15, this piece is for you, right? That was me. And part of it was when I got to the law firm, I was so transfixed by the notion of the billable hour, right? I had never had to record every minute of my time before, that I got it in my head that I should just bill every second that I could. And let me say, there are some benefits to that, right? I became the highest billing associate. It put me on a track that allowed me to make partner, at the very first time that I went up for partner, et cetera. You want good billable hours if you choose a law firm. But it sort of warped my brain, right? Such that I got to believing really that my time really was more important than everyone else's, right? So I didn't want, my view was, if we were having family dinner and I showed up at 6 and they didn't really get started till 6:30, well, I had thrown away 30 minutes of good billable time, right? And that seemed totally rational and logical to me. Until I realized, till one of my dear friends told me, and please keep those people in your life, right? Those non-lawyers who are friends in your life, right? You got to keep them around, the truth tellers, right? Because the more you rise, the fewer and far between they become. But she finally said to me, we know you think you're more important than all of us, but we wish you could get to X place at whatever time. And I thought, wow, is that really what I want my loved ones to think? Did I think I'm more important? I was like a second-year associate. The reality was I wasn't changing any lives, right? I wasn't a cancer doctor, right? Really? Did I really want to communicate that my time was more important than theirs? It certainly was not my intention. I was doing it unconsciously, and it was not the way I wanted the people in my life to feel. And so I made the decision. But the other big lesson about this, and this is why I put it up front, is I also learned a valuable lesson about how to correct a problem. And I share this for you for the first time you get any feedback that you don't like, right? So I got that feedback and I didn't like it. So I decided, I'll be on time. So I started being on time. Well, you know what happens when you're known for being late? You have a reputation for being late and you start being on time? Nobody notices. Nobody notices. So I spent about a year being on time and people were still telling me, family brunch is at 11. And I would show up at 11 and they would show up at 11:30. So then I'm getting annoyed, although one thing I did learn was just keep your work with you, then you can bill when they're late, right? And so, but I realized you cannot fix something by doing that which is expected, the way you fix a problem, a criticism, feedback. When you're young associates, young lawyers in prosecutors' offices, young lawyers doing public interest, and you get your first evaluation and somebody says, this is your issue, you don't fix it by doing what's expected. You fix it by knocking it out of the park, right, going 150%. So what I started doing was being extraordinarily early, right? So I had a reputation for being late. I started being on time. That kept me having a reputation for being late. Nobody noticed. So I started being really early. So I was always the first one to show up for everything. Now then, people start to notice, right? So I just want to tell you that whatever your thing is that you need to fix, and you will have to fix something, right? You will not be perfect the moment you graduate from law school. As a lawyer, you will have to learn and grow and develop. The way you do it is to knock it out of the park. And you can totally redefine your definition, your reputation in whatever the area is. But what I also found is that being early is the gift you give yourself. So I used to go around huffing and puffing and worried about parking and, worried about the 5K or whatever, like I was so stressed out. And the reality is being early, you get there, you take a deep breath, you check your email, it's relaxing, it's a gift. Your adrenaline's not going for no good reason. So we have literally got, I'll just tell you, again, I want to make sure I'm being very candid with you all. My husband, who I adore, who is my life partner, runs late all the time. He is 57 years old. I'm pretty much done with that. That's just, unless something miraculous happens, he is not going to change at 57. But I did say to him, finally, that when we have our Saturday night date nights and we are late for our dinner reservation, he has essentially screwed up whatever romantic notions he had for that evening, right? So it doesn't really matter. He's right in the grand scheme of things if we show up for our dinner reservations at 8:10 instead of 8. Except he has a wife who is now what? Attached and addicted to being early. So I'm sitting over there in the seat next to him like, oh, call the restaurant. We're going to be late. We're going to be, It doesn't matter. The restaurant doesn't care. But we then get into the restaurant with me in such a state of just stress and just discombobulation that he has not had a good dinner. So I'm like, dude, whatever we're spending on this dinner and for the babysitter, you can save if we're late. So I will tell you, he's still late to lots of things. They'll probably be late to soccer today because the team mom's not there. But he will not be late for our dinner date, right? Because he understands how important it is to me. So I just want you to know that, and you won't believe me, maybe today, but maybe one day you'll say, you know what? Allegra said that being early is the gift I give myself. I'm going to try that. Number 2, requires no privilege. No matter who you are, you can do this. No matter where you are, no talent, right? Being responsive. Being responsive. What does that mean? The number one criticism that the clients make about lawyers, whenever they do these surveys, is that lawyers do not respond to phone calls or emails. I find that remarkable. My 5-year-old will tell you, Mommy's on the phone with the client because the clients pay our bills. She totally gets it, right? She totally gets it. And she wants her bills paid. Soccer is not cheap. She wants Mommy talking to the client when the client calls. Being responsive, we are in a customer service business no matter what we do, right? There is somebody who wants to hear back from us. Responding quickly is something we can all do, and it doesn't require any extra privilege, any extra talent. It's just a way of showing that you're engaged. Producing a visually appealing work product. No talent required. No privilege required. Lots of you have some privilege. Lots of you have lots and lots of talent. But it doesn't even matter. What I used to say to my mentees is if your paper looks really good, you're probably going to get a B. Professor Sullivan may disagree with me. But my experience academically is if you don't have any errors in your grammar, your sentence structure, if it looks pretty, you got some white space properly set up, you got your margins in order, you follow the directions, it looks good, psychologically, we all know when you go out to eat, right? When you get a meal and it's so beautiful, you take out your phone and take a picture, right? Versus a meal, you're like, oh, it might be good, but I'm not going to take a picture. Which one tastes better? The one you Snapchatted, right? That's the meal you're going to enjoy better. We want things to look good. And I think sometimes we forget that professors are people too, right? That our clients are people too. It matters that we take the time to use capital letters and periods and full sentences when appropriate, right? It matters. You want a visually appealing work product at all times. Whatever that work product may be, it is speaking for you when you're not there to speak for it yourself, right? And so you want it to say exactly what you want it to say. You are defining your brand at every aspect. And what do you want your brand to say, right? What do you want to communicate? Demonstrating energy, showing that you are high energy. Doesn't require any talent and no privilege whatsoever. You can come bring your best game every single day of the week, right? Every single day of the week, you want to show up for whatever you're doing, thinking this is my opportunity to show my stuff. Okay, so Monday morning comes, and you spend all weekend at the HBCU, did I do that right? HBCU Pre-Law Summit. And then you want to spend a little time with your friends, right? So you've done that, and you've studied, of course, in your weekend. And so Monday morning comes, and you have the Monday morning blues. You're not feeling it, right? You're not feeling it. Anybody got a good strategy? What do you do when you have the Monday morning blues and you are not ready to bring your A game? Yes. Pray, absolutely. And Janelle gave us that very important reminder, right? Something you go to for energy. Yes. Suit up. Put on some lipstick. Really pull it together. Yes, right here. Coffee. You know what's funny? I actually gave up coffee. I went through a big wellness phase, and I totally gave up coffee. And then my daughter was born, and I was like, oh, coffee is for working mothers. So now I'm with you, absolutely. Can we have one up here?
Listen to music and eat breakfast.
Listen to music. I eat breakfast. Got to do that every day, right? Listen to some music, some energizing music. Everybody got a theme song in here? You got to give me one. What's the theme song? What's yours? Like on your feet, so everybody here. That's a good one.
Every praise is Skywalker.
See, there we go. She feels better already. Anybody else got a good theme song? You got to have a theme song. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Yes. Excellent. So, you know what, I won't tell you my theme song because mine is, I love show tunes and that's a little corny, so mine's a show tune, but you just gotta have it. And I use mine as I go. I sing my theme song before I go into court, before I go into a pitch, before I go into a big speech. I'm doing my theme song, right? My 5-year-old's theme song, Girl on Fire, right? So she's not having her day, we put it on, we crank it up, and we just go through it. All right, I'm gonna give you another tip. And for this, I need everybody on their feet. How many have seen Amy Cudahy's TED Talk on power posing? Out of Harvard, right? She did some great research out of Harvard. When you have some time, and I know you all are busy, it is an amazing TED Talk to watch. Amy Cudahy's talk on power posing. What she found in her research was that we can develop methods for controlling and using and tapping into our adrenaline that will help us to be more successful. Now, everyone in here can power pose. And the good news is now your friends know you can do it in public. Sometimes I do it in the bathroom, right? In my office, I close the door. I have done it with the entire kindergarten class. The teachers have asked me to bring in those strategies for the kindergarten. I will power pose pretty much anywhere. This is how you do it. And we added a little piece to Amy Cudahy's part in our family. So, to power pose, we all know Superman, right? Wonder Woman, Catwoman. You pick your superhero in your life. How do they stand? Feet apart, right? You got it, that's right. Chest out, hands on your hips. Do you feel it already? Do you feel it already? If you don't feel it, you're not doing it right. You're more Batman? I don't know if that's gonna work. So, you gotta put your hands on your hips, your chest out, get ready to conquer the world. And the science, and again, watch this TED Talk, the science is so clearly proven, it will change your body. It will change your chemistry. It will allow you to tap into that adrenaline and then go in and show your stuff. Now, we have added another aspect to it in my family. I've got girls, right? And I believe in girl power, I do. And so I'm always teaching them to tap into their girl power, to do their thing. And so we add a little affirmation to it. So I got the kindergarten class, right? They're not feeling it. The teacher says, can you come in and power pose before you go to work? Absolutely. So I get in there and I say, all right, everybody, pick your favorite superhero. They all do it. And then I add affirmation like, brilliant, right? Or fabulous, or thoughtful, right? Whatever we want to harness for that day. So on the count of three, we're going to power pose together, and then you're going to shout out your affirmation, whatever it is for you. Take a minute, because this is powerful. You don't want to shout the wrong affirmation. Right? This is powerful stuff. It's life-changing. All right, you ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. Life-changing! Woo! Great job. Energy is always available to you after you pulled your all-nighter, after you couldn't sleep, after you've been up reading and briefing cases all night. You can still demonstrate energy. And when you get in that class and you're cold called, or when you go up to that professor afterwards to ask questions, as you will, to show your energy, the professor is going to be so moved by your interest, by your energy, they're going to feel how much you enjoy the work. They're going to know that you're intellectually curious and engaged in the work. And same thing on as you pursue your career, right? Your employers are going to know they've got an energetic hard worker who's there for the team. Yes? The TED Talk, I do not know the name of it. It's by Amy Cudahy. She's the one who does it. Amy Cudahy, Cudahy. I think it's called something like Power Pose. If you Google Power Pose, Amy Cudahy, TED Talk, it will come up. And it's about an hour, but well worth the investment of your time. Oh, Cuddy, not Cudahy? Cudey. Okay. You know what? I will check it when I sit down and make sure I give it all to you. Very good question, because it's worth watching. All right, number 5, demonstrating enthusiasm, right? Again, we got to show people. People want to invest in people who seem worth the investment, right? Who seem worth the investment. Be that a professor, a TA, an employer. So you got to show enthusiasm. I'll give you an example. In my world, I represent corporate clients, right? Fortune 100 companies. If I ever showed up for an important meeting with the general counsel of a Fortune 100 company, and I hadn't read everything that had been in the Wall Street Journal about that company, I didn't know what the stock price was, I didn't know what big issues they were facing on a business level, am I an enthusiastic lawyer for that client? No. If I walk in and I'm like, well, I'm just here to help you with this one little thing. I know you just had a data breach last night that has all your attention, but I need you to focus on this deposition in my little case. Do you think they want me back? No, right? You got to show that you're an enthusiastic team player, that you're in it. Again, doesn't require talent or privilege, right? You can set a Google alert on your phone for free for whatever it is you're interested in. So how does that translate for you? Well, you could be taking a class. Somebody tell me a good, interesting class you're taking. Like, don't tell me like Econ 101. Give me something interesting. I'm sorry? Intro to politics? Yes. Okay, intro to politics. So what might you set on your Google alerts to really make sure that you're like into politics? Right, you would want to be reading, certainly, the Wall Street Journal, you'd want to be reading the New York Times, the Washington Post, etc. You'd want to be showing that, yes, professor, I'm learning what you told me to read, but I am so engaged and enthusiastic that I'm learning everything I can find on the subject, right? Go above and beyond. This is all about, thank you, I can sit down now. This is all about going above and beyond, right? That's how we show our energy, that's how we show our enthusiasm. Understanding the business imperative. This is true for my world, right? I've got to understand, again, what my clients are struggling with. But how does that translate to your world? Everything we do has a business aspect to it, right? If you're in public interest work, there are funders who have to fund that work. They want certain things. If you're a DA, a prosecutor, a public defender, right? There are business aspects to making sure the funding comes in to ensure that you can be a DA, a prosecutor, etc. If you're at a law firm, there are business imperatives to making sure that law firm can continue to function. And so understanding those will help you be more successful. Mastering the rules of etiquette, these are free, right? These are free. It is not true. You don't have to have grown up, with 8-course meals to be able to master an 8-course meal. You all know how to read. Get a book. Emily Post on etiquette, right? Emily Post. So that's actually not free. You got to maybe $8 when you download it. Well worth the investment. You never want to be sitting in a business meal wondering about your fork when you should be shining, right? You want to spend that business meal sparkling, letting them know how brilliant you are. You do not want to be sitting there wondering which glass should I use. Just master it, get it down, make it a non-issue in your life. Developing excellent listening skills, practice with your Uber driver, right? Practice with your hairdresser. Make sure you are not listening to speak, but you are listening to understand. It is, again, when I see young lawyers who do extraordinarily well, it's the ones who can really listen and hear behind what people are saying, who really demonstrate a great ability to serve our clients. Number 9, persistence, persistence, persistence. You wouldn't be here today if you hadn't already demonstrated it. I guarantee you're going to need it even more when you get to law school and then begin to pursue a career, particularly as students of color. We do not give up. Well, I love Janelle, what was that? If you know your why, you can withstand anyhow. Was that what you just said? I'm not sure what Janelle was. Is that what you said? I love that. I love that. You got to know your why, and you have to be persistent, persistent, persistent. Again, this is going forward a million years for you all, but the number one skill that they found in successful rainmakers and law firms, resilience. Right? What do all the child psychology books tell us now we need in our young kids? Grit. Right? The ability, you're going to get knocked down. You are going to have failures. The question is how you learn from them, how you dust yourself off and get back up. And number 10, and my favorite, that's why I made it number 10, you've got to have passion. Right? You have to be doing this for a reason. And it is that passion that will fuel your all-nighters. It is that passion that will keep you studying for the LSAT. It is that passion that will make sure you go above and beyond every time. And you've got to be very clear on why you're doing this and tap into that when you're feeling low, when you're feeling tired, or when you just need a reminder of why you're on this journey. That is all I have for you today. I believe my time is up.